Will gold be revalued to $27,000? So will gold be revalued to $27,000? Well, let's cut to a clip from a recent interview with Jim Rickards.
You think gold could get to or surpass 27,000, and you say, look, this isn't just some forecast. I didn't just make this up, but you could see gold, I'm not saying in this year or next year, but heading towards 27,000. You say, look, this is not just a number you're making up. We all know, anyone who knows you, Jim, knows you take deep dives, you do a ton of research. So I'd love for you to walk us through how you got to this number and in what time frame you think this could happen in.
Right. Well, there's a predicate, so it's a little bit different than a hard and fast prediction. I did the number was about $27,000. You're right. There's a predicate, which is what happens if investors, savers, markets around the world lose confidence in the U.S. dollar. And by the way, if people lose confidence in the U.S. dollar, don't think for a minute that they're going to run to the euro, the yen, pound sterling, Canadian dollars, or whatever. They're not. All those currencies are part of a global euro dollar, U.S. dollar system. So if you lose confidence in U.S. government securities, for example, the U.S. dollar, you're not going to run to German bonds or Japanese government bonds. That whole system is going to be severely impaired. In which case, you may have to go back to some kind of gold standard, gold linked, gold backed in some fashion, not because you want to. There's no central bank in the world that wants to go to gold, but they may have to restore confidence. Now, if you do, if you say, okay, we have to get back to some kind of gold system to restore confidence, what would the price of gold have to be to make that system work? Well, we have a lot of historical precedent. There was a real gold standard solid gold standard from 1870 to 1914, modified gold standard from after World War I, say 1919 through World War II, Bretton Woods standard from 1944 to 1971. So we do have precedent for this. And in every case, you don't have to have enough gold to back 100% of the money supply. Some of the hard shell gold bugs say you do, but that's not true. Historically, you need between 20 and 40%. So let's just take 40%. Look at the U.S. money supply, and I use M1 because it's broader than Fed-based money. It includes checking accounts. It's kind of like the money from the banks that drives the real economy. So if you take M1 and take 40% of that and say, okay, that's how much gold I need to back it up, and then say, okay, how much gold do I have? The answer is 8,133 tons. That's how much gold the U.S. has. And just do the math. And this is, as I say, this is seventh grade math. What would the price per ounce have to be for 8,000 tons to back up M1? And the answer is $27,000. By the way, I did the same math not that long ago. Well, 7 or 8 years ago. And the answer was closer to $15,000. But the reason it's higher, gold is still gold, but the money supply is a lot bigger. So with the same amount of gold and a larger money supply, you need a higher price per ounce to back up the money supply. And by the way, I spoke to Paul Volcker about this, and he agreed. He said he wasn't advocating for a gold standard, but he said if you had to go back to a gold standard, he just threw his hand in the air and said, oh, the price of gold would be unbelievable. And of course, he's right. So that number, if things kind of remain the way they are and confidence in the dollar remains, we can talk about that, by the way, because there are arrows directed right at the heart of confidence in the dollar having to do with Russian assets in the war in Ukraine. But if confidence is maintained, then it's a market factor. Maybe you don't get there. But if you have to go back to a gold standard, $27,000 would have to be the price in order to avoid massive deflation.
So I think it was back in 2016 when I bought Jim Rickards' book, The New Case for Gold. And I had already owned gold. I'd bought gold back in 2007-8. I bought silver. As you guys know, I sold silver, bought US real estate in 2011, 2012, and so forth. I've never sold any of that gold, but in 2016 I bought his book, and I can't remember if I read it late 2016 or 2017. And look, it was a good book, and it's something that I'd already known, but I think it reinforced it, that gold as insurance, when debt-based fiat monetary systems collapse, they always have to go back to something that provides confidence. And gold and silver has always done that. But with central banks owning gold, that's really their only tool. And I know a lot of Bitcoin people say that, it's going to be a Bitcoin standard. But central banks don't own Bitcoin. Central banks do own, and governments do own, gold. If anything's going to be revalued, it's going to be gold. Currencies are going to be devalued against gold. Obviously, governments don't want to do that, and they'll go kicking and screaming. But at some point, they're going to be forced to do that. And I honestly believe that's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. I don't know when. But that's why I've never sold my gold, because I think at some point gold will be revalued, and I want to own it. I want to be protected for that situation. Now, I've done some videos before where we talked about this. In fact, Luke Groman has been talking about this for quite some time. I did this video, buy silver or gold, $30,000 gold, and Luke, in this video for about 2 or 3 minutes, talks about revaluing gold. Now, I did this video as well where Luke argues to revalue gold back then, with a price target of $40,000. And yep, absolutely, it depends whether you're backing 10%, 20%, 40%, 100%, whatever. But yeah, Luke has been talking about this for some time now. In fact, I've done 2 videos on this. This is an older one from many years ago, $40,000 gold in reset. So Luke has been talking about this for some time. And I can't remember when I did this. It wasn't that long ago. Might have been last year, where Brent Johnson shared a chart of M2, I think it was, divided by the amount of gold, and came up with a figure of, $82,000 gold. Now that would be 100% backing. Obviously, governments probably won't go there. They'll probably go 10% or 20%, maybe 40%. Don't know. It depends where confidence in the fiat system goes, and what governments and central banks are ultimately forced to do, and how much they actually back whatever currency it is by gold. And in this video, Return of the Gold Standard. By the way, do you like my little play on Return of the Jedi? I was a Star Wars kid. Yeah, actually, I'll put a link in the description to all these videos. This one, I actually shared a clip from a old Real Vision video, really high quality video they did. Yeah, just interviewing a whole range of different people on gold and returning to gold. And there's some fantastic arguments in here. And you got to ask yourself, why are central banks buying gold? I think it's pretty clear for most of you guys that watch this channel. I think it's pretty clear why central banks are buying gold. And, maybe you want to buy some as well. Maybe there's a reason you might want to own some. Yeah, it's not as sexy as Bitcoin and some miners and explorers when they do have those asymmetric returns. But in the event of a revaluation, devaluing currency against gold, we're going to see big rises in gold. So yes, I do own gold for that revaluation. I think it's going to happen. I don't know when, and central banks and governments will be forced kicking and screaming to it because they don't want to do it. They love being able to print currency and do their MMT like they've been doing. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. But at some point, they're going to be forced to do it. And I don't know how the bifurcation and the whole BRICS thing plays into it. I'm watching it very, very closely. And I just think if central banks are buying gold, you might want to have some as insurance. And if that revaluation happens, you know, yeah, I think those people with gold will fare better than those without. Now, look, in my last video, I just wanted to touch on this before we wrap this video up. So, yes, I do think gold's going to be revalued. How much? I think they'll go for as small, as little as possible. So 10%, 20%, 40%. I don't think they'll go 100% unless they're absolutely forced to, which means obviously they need to revalue gold much, 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 much higher. But in my last video, $50 to $62 silver by June 2025, a lot of you in the comments talked about Chen Lin and his prediction that we would hit $50 silver well within the next couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So June this year, which we're already in June. And look, I don't see it. I don't see how silver gets to $50 US within the next few weeks. I hope I'm wrong. I'll be the happiest man alive to be wrong. I'll be the happiest person being wrong. I would love to see $50 silver. That would be very nice in Aussie dollar terms. I don't see how it gets there, though. I have watched his interviews. He's done a couple of recent interviews in the last week or two, and I have watched them, and I've heard his arguments, and I agree with him, and I think that a lot of that is a bullish case for silver. I just don't see the timeline. So by June next year, or look, it could happen quicker. It could happen before the end of this year. Okay, I'm not ruling out the end of this year, but I'm pretty confident to say by June next year, silver will break its all-time highs. I don't think we're going to get to triple-digit silver by June next year, but with the whole setup of silver from a fundamental point of view, from the currency point of view, from the demand and supply point of view, the trajectory that silver's been on, it's pretty clear that by June 2025, we're going to hit all-time high in silver. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on his prediction, Chen Lin's prediction of $50 silver by now, by the end of this month. And I just don't see it. As I said, I'm happy to be wrong. But anyway, all right, what do you guys think? Do you think gold is going to be revalued? Do you think it's going to be revalued 20%, 40%, 100% backing? When do you guys think? I'd love to read your comments and see when you guys think this is going to happen, this revaluation, because honestly, I have no idea. Things always take longer than you expect. I would say I expect it before the end of this decade, but who knows how long they can kick this can down the road. I didn't think they'd be able to kick this debt bubble this far down the road. So anyway, love to see your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you did like this video, hit that like button, share it. If you haven't subscribed, do that and hit that notification bell as well. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you again on another episode of Finance Uncut. And just a reminder, the information provided in this video is for education and entertainment purposes only. Nothing on this channel constitutes as financial advice. The information in this presentation is no substitute for financial advice, and all investors should seek advice from a licensed financial advisor having regard to your own objectives, financial situation, and needs.